What's up? It's Susie from Hey Grill Hey, and today we're smoking a pork belly. Not pork belly burn ends, not pork belly like a brisket. We are doing a classic low and slow smoked pork belly slab that then you can turn into whatever you want. It's a choose your own adventure pork belly. Thick sliced pieces that you can pan fry, beautiful cubes covered in sticky sauce, or a slab that you can keep in your fridge and just cut little pieces off when you're feeling sad or lonely or maybe just hungry, I guess. It's super simple, beautiful, fun cook. I'm gonna show you how it gets done. Let's do it. I'm kicking off my pork belly cooking process by prepping the pork belly itself. This is about a 4-pound slab, no bones, no skin, just straight uncured pork belly. Now, I most often am able to find these at Costco, but a lot of local butchers also carry this type of pork belly. Sometimes you'll only be able to find it with the skin on. It is pretty easy to remove with a fillet knife, or a lot of times your butcher will remove it for you. You just have to ask. I like using a really sharp fillet knife to score my way across the top of my pork belly. You don't want to go too deep, but just cutting through that top fat layer will give more access to the seasoning to get down into the meat itself. I usually cut it at a diagonal in 1-inch squares. Once my pork belly is scored, it's time to season on all sides. Now in the written recipe, I use my sweet rub. That's my go-to barbecue seasoning. However, I'm busting out my rib rub for this pork belly today. There's a little bit of cinnamon in my rib rub, and I just think it tastes so amazing with this pork belly. So when it's finished, you can either slice it thick for some like smoky pork belly style bacon, or you can cube it up for kind of that pork belly burn ends bite. Once my pork belly is seasoned, it's time to hit the smoker. I've got my pellet smoker preheated to 225 degrees. Pork is a really mild tasting meat and it takes on smoke flavor incredibly well. So I like to keep this one a little bit mild, something like a maple, an apple, a cherry, anything in the fruit wood family, I think gives a really nice smoke to the pork belly. It's going directly on the grates. Close up the lid and let this cook until the internal temperature reaches around 165 degrees. And I've got a really good, nice mahogany color on the bark on the outside. This first step takes usually about 6 hours. While my pork belly is cooking, because I'm on a pellet grill and I know that the temperature recovers quickly, I like to spritz it with apple juice. This isn't gonna give me a dark, crispy, crusty bark on the outside. It's gonna keep the exterior of my pork belly a little bit softer, but it's gonna really help with the overall color development and flavor development as well. Once my pork belly is at 165, it's time for the wrap and braise step. I place my pork belly on a really large sheet of heavy-duty aluminum foil, fold up the edges, and pour over about a half a cup of apple juice. This liquid in the foil is gonna help kind of steam the pork belly and give us a really nice rendered texture. As the fat cooks in the foil as well, we're gonna get some of the fat cooking into and around the meat to give us really, really beautiful, tasty, delicious pork belly. I wanna make sure that as I wrap up my pork belly with the foil that I seal the edges really tightly with the apple juice and the rendered fat. There is a risk of it leaking out and making a big old mess, so you wanna make sure that it's sealed tightly so that the foil can do the work that it needs to do, but you also keep your cook space clean. Once it's wrapped, it goes back on the grill, still at 225 degrees until the internal temperature of that pork belly reads around 200 degrees. If you want it to be a little more fall apart, you can lean up towards 203. If you want it to be tighter so that you can do thinner slices, you want to shoot for around 195. At 200 degrees, it's time for the next step. I'm going to open up the foil and carefully move the pork belly out of the foil, back on the grill grates. At this point, you can drizzle with some of the apple juice and fat that's in that foil pouch before you throw it away. I'm also gonna top it with some of my favorite barbecue sauce. I'm gonna be using my maple bourbon barbecue sauce today because it's sweet and sticky and that's the flavor profile I'm going for. But my whiskey peach sauce, my everything sauce, or your favorite barbecue sauce would be perfect on there as well. Now I have all these sauces available that you can grab from my store, or I also have the recipes available for them as well. Let me know in the comments section what you think the best sauce flavor would be with a smoked pork belly like this one. Once my pork belly is lightly coated in barbecue sauce, I'm gonna close the lid and let it cook just for 10 more minutes to help kind of tighten the sauce on the outside of this pork belly, and then it is ready to come off and onto my cutting board. Now this pork belly is still about 200 degrees and I want the temperature to come down a little bit before I slice and serve. So you gotta let it rest. I'm gonna let mine rest for 15 to 30 minutes. If you want it to rest for longer, I would actually tent it with foil. It can rest for up to an hour. Now it's a choose your own adventure when it comes to slicing and serving up this pork belly. You can do thin slices if you want to pan fry for an additional crispy texture on the outside. You can do thicker slices if you want to layer it into a sandwich, or you can cube it up and make your own whole pork belly style of burnt ends. And I really like this one the most. I think this is what happiness smells like. Like if happiness had a smell, it'd be slow smoked pork belly with maple bourbon sauce. It simultaneously smells like the best barbecue you've ever had, plus breakfast because of the maple sauce on here. These cubes are calling my name. I'm actually gonna cool these slices and save them for later. But every time I make this pork belly, I get the comment that it's almost like you're eating slow smoked ribs without the bone or the gristle to work through. It's just this melt in your mouth, uber fatty, rich pork flavor. And these are some of my favorite bites in the whole world of barbecue. I mean, pork belly on its own, you legitimately can't go wrong. But that combo of the rib rub with a little kiss of cinnamon and the maple bourbon sauce was like a magical 1-2 punch. Now you can combo these any way you choose. You can do this super savory with a salt and pepper rub, but for me, sweet is the way to go. You can grab either of these rubs or sauces from my store, but I also have recipes for both of these if you want to try making them at home. I've also got the recipe for the smoked pork belly on my website, or you can find it in the Hey Grill Hey app. Everything I do is to help you make better barbecue in your own backyard so you can feed the people you love and become a backyard barbecue hero. I think this smoked pork belly is definitely barbecue hero worthy. You'll have to tie on a cape and use it as a napkin, but I think it qualifies. We'll see you next time. That's ridiculous. It's unfair. It's so good.
Look at